Welcome back. It is the Flow Friday Sports Show here on Flow FM. Well, we missed him last week, and not many things get the great Bruce Phillips down, but unfortunately he was too unwell to be with us last week. He does return to talk all things Sprintcar and Speedway action. It's great to be back with you, Bruce Phillips, a man who knows sport in Australia like the back of his own hand. How are we today, Bruce?
G'day there, Ellis, and good to be back. And gee, what a few days it's been for our team at local Sprintcar Photography and Media, and we've just been absolutely blessed with some magnificent sprint car racing. We've seen the best in the world with the Americans coming over for the Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic. Packed house down there at Premier Speedway Warrnambool, 3 nights of action. And look, it just didn't stop there. There was the King's Challenge the night before, and then there was the President's Cup that got rerun, and of course rounded up last weekend with the massive Australian title. And oh look, mate, we have just been absolutely we've had sprint cars just pushed down our throat, a smorgasbord of motorsport. And it really was a great 2 weeks down there in Warrnambool, Victoria.
Well, let's find out all about that, starting in Sinkhole Land over in Mount Gambier for the King's Challenge. Bruce, bring us the latest on that.
Well, it all got underway there. That was ended up being the first night's racing, because the night before at Avalon, the President's Cup got washed out. So they rerun that last week. So they're pretty lucky there and had a very good crowd for the night. But the King's Challenge, it was an absolute ripper. And it was taken out by the American Sheldon Hordenschuld, and he was just brilliant in the USA 25, and he got the victory there. And he's the first American to win the King's Challenge since the late Jason Johnson in 2012. So it's been a long time between drinks for the Americans to get a victory down there at Sinkhole City, and Hordenschuld was too good. And it also ends James McFadden's run of 2 in a row down there. So McFadden winning, of course, in 2022 and 2023. So a good win there by Sheldon Hordenschuld. And Kerry Madsen was in second place in the W2. And what about the drive from Guy Corbett in the NQ10 from the B main, if you don't mind, and just weave through the traffic, and a sensational drive by Guy to get in victory lane in third place. The Americans were amongst it again in fourth place with Corey Eliason, the contracted West Australian W17 car. And, of course, our own South Australian gun, Luke Dillon, was in fifth spot. So it was a really good night's racing there at the King's Challenge, the prelude to the Classic.
All right, Bruce, give us an update on the Classics action.
So we had night 1, 3 nights, and that was the Friday, Saturday and Sunday, 19th, 20th and the 21st, I think the dates were by memory. And let's have a look at night 1. It was the where the cars split up. There was 106 cars, and they split up over 2 nights. And then they take the top 94 through. And on night 1, it was an American clean sweep, if you don't mind. Aaron Reitzel in the USA 87 got the chocolates from Chase Randall in the USA 9. Rico Abreu, he was in the USA 24, and Corey Eliason in the USA 17. The Aussies just couldn't get a spot on that top 4. Dominated by the Americans. Great racing by Aaron Reitzel. He was just in sensational form. Our best Australian was Brock Hallett in 5th place in the Q5. Of course, last year's Classic winner. And he looked very fast on night 1. That led to night 2, and so the other half of the field running on night 2, and it was a victory to James McFadden from, sorry, I got that wrong, Hordenschuld was the victory at USA. So USA claimed the victory on both nights, and James McFadden was in second place. And just trying to read out too many Americans here, but and Carson Macedo, another American in the N99. So of the top 6 spots on each night, first, second and third, 5 Americans. So they really did dominate the Classic in the 2 prelude nights. Luke Dillon in 4th and Justin Peck in the USA 2 in 6th spot. So the Americans really did come over and show the Aussies how to drive. Nothing too sure about that. Lockie McHugh had a good night in the NQ7 on night 2. So that led to the grand final on the Sunday night, and it was a magnificent night of racing down there at Warrnambool. And well done to the track staff down there. There was a lot of talk and innuendo about the track, how it would come up, whether it would last. Look, they did have to rework the track each night during the meeting. Yeah, people don't want to watch tractors racing around the oval circuit, but at the end of the night, it brought up some great racing. And Aaron Reitzel took out the Grand Annual Sprintcar Classic, and you can see the victory video on local Sprintcar photography Facebook page, and that has had some 100,000 views and counting of his victory donut. And he was a pretty happy chappy, taking away $40,000 from Brock Hallett in second place. So pretty good effort from Brock Hallett, winning it last year, runner-up this year in the Q5 GW Racing contract car out of Queensland. And, of course, Brock resides down there at Portland. And in third place, it was Lockie McHugh in the NQ7. And Lockie McHugh just having a really great season out of Queensland. We'll tell you a bit more about him in a moment. Jamie Veal in fourth and Jock Goodyear in fifth. But I tell you what, it was some real class racing. And even the B mains, you know, they were A main feature lineup. Such was the quality of drivers in this competition. And it really was hard to get a spot in that final finale finish, which was taken out by Reitzel from America. So that wraps up the Classic. It was a tremendous event and a packed house down there at Warrnambool. And well done to the Flying Horse down there. Put on a great show. They had live feeds from the track, and they had courtesy buses, and really was a great event and very well run down there at Warrnambool.
Great stuff. Well, over to the 50 Sprint Car Field President's Cup format. What happened at Avalon, Bruce?
Yeah, Avalon Raceway managed to get their night run from the rain out the week before. Good crowd in attendance too. Really did support the rerun of this event. And it was Brock Hallett in the Q5 who got the victory from Grant Anderson and Jamie Veal. It was just the one American running in this, of course, Riley Goodnow, because leading up to the Australian title, which the Americans aren't allowed to run in, they all had their plane tickets to head home and continued on their racing circuit over there, which was pretty much on the Friday night. So they were all on board planes heading home. So Brock Hallett there, just too good. And that really did set up a big Australian title at Premier Speedway. And it was 2 nights of action down there. And on the first night, it was James Inglis in the W26 who was just so fast. And he really did have some great lines with this car. And he was top and bottom. And he really did weave around the lap traffic brilliantly. James Inglis in the contract-owned W26. And he was too good for Jock Goodyear in the Australia 1 and Brock Hallett in the Q5. Really did have a great 2 weeks, Brock Hallett, right up on the podiums all the time, and some good racing along with Lockie McHugh in 4th and Jamie Veal in 5th. So that rounded out night 1 and set up the points table and for a big night of racing with one more run of heat on night 2 and then into the alphabet of features, A main, B main, C main, D main and E main. And they kicked off the E main and ran back into the main A main feature. And it was Lockie McHugh in the NQ7, the new Australia 1. And he was just in sensational form, Lockie McHugh. And once again, you can see his victory donuts on our local Sprint Car Photography Facebook page. And he was absolutely electric, Lockie McHugh. Post doing the donut victory and, of course, during the race. And the race provided a bit of everything and seen a couple of big names drop out in Brock Hallett and Callum Williamson. Brock Hallett had some back-end trouble, and Williamson, well, he went in as well, and that certainly did take some big names out of it. And what about James McFadden in the D5? He blew the motor in the hot laps, so they reworked the track and did some hot laps to get the drivers used of it and run the track back in. And McFadden blew the motor before the A main, so what a costly exercise that was, and couldn't take any part in the feature, which was just huge on the night and really did have some James McFadden fans searching for the hankies. But look, McHugh was just too good. NQ7 Australia won from Jamie Veal and Jock Goodyear, so Goodyear losing that title of the A1, and he'll go back to the T22 now out of Tasmania. But yeah, it was 2 weeks of just, as I said, magnificent racing and racing in good spirits, and some real hard, tough elbows up racing, and a real good competition it was. And we were very fortunate enough to be there for the 2 week duration, and really spoilt to the best of the best. See, those Americans, they really did come across and clean up, didn't they?
And make sure you go to the local Sprintcar photography and media Facebook page for all your updates when it comes to Sprintcar / Speedway action. Bruce Phillips, our regular correspondent when it comes to Speedway action, thanks so much for your time.
Oh, thanks, Ellis, and we look forward to covering a bit more Speedway next weekend.